Hi, I'm Niina,
I'm Arja.
and we are talking about working with emotional avoidance in schema therapy with children and adolescents and with parents. So, I'm a certified trainer and supervisor in schema therapy individual and with children and adolescents, like Arja. And we both are also trainer and supervisor of cognitive psychotherapist. And we are psychotherapists in CBT. And we both have our own practitioner in Kerava in Finland. So there's a lot of common between two of us. And of course, there's differences. And
Yes.
here's our slides about more detailed information. And yes, go on, Arja.
Yes. And I'm also a psychologist, and I have a background working with family guidance centers for about 20 years and now about over 10 years as in private practice.
Yeah. And we both are working with children, adolescents, and adults, and with parents. I also have been in own practice about 13 years. Yeah. So let's go to the subject. Emotional avoidance. It means that there is lack of visible emotion activation with our clients and lack of connection to emotions. And that's the theme today. Our clients, the child's vulnerable child mode is not easily to get in touch. His/her needs to be seen are bypassed with learned way to cope without visible emotional hurt. Demanding parent mode has learned a way to think, speak in mind, that emotions are not wanted, they are something to hide, those will bring harm, or those are harmful. You need to behave, not react to those. Something like that. Does it sound familiar? The mode behind variation of maladaptive schemas, like emotional inhibition, unrelating standards, social isolation, and so on, is called detached protector mode. And in all of our survival modes, the need is to distance one from inner hurt. And today we are focusing to avoidance and what is in schema therapy with children and adolescents to work and parents. So, the one is avoiding to connection of emotional hurt. And detached protector mode is very easily missed to identify, and it's easy to misunderstood, thinking that it is wise mode. But missing emotional connection affects to psychotherapy relationship and reparenting in ourselves. The way to cope with emotions may look very idealistic. Our client may look really sharp and intelligent. They are very polite, but the inner feeling in you as a therapist is that you are distanced of that real person, the vulnerable child, lonely child. He can behave quite well or very well or very smart way. But that's really not the wise mode. And in adults, it's not the healthy adult mode, but it's a way to cope with difficult emotions by distancing one from pain. So, emotional avoidance is almost everywhere with our clients. And it tries to escape from hurt, but also ideas, thoughts, images, what are connected to schema activation. It's like running away, but this is really the detached protector mode. There's like a wall between us. It tries to block also situations that are threatening, like many situations in psychotherapy. Blocking vulnerable child mode, affecting growth and emotional openness, distancing one from another, leading lonely child mode. Avoidance is a common way to survive in many child and adolescents' mental health problems. And we think anxiety is very, very important to understand. So, how to deal with detached protector mode? We need to identify the problem with modes or with cards, with mode schedule. But anyway, we need to do the case conceptualization. We need to understand it. We need to help the client really understand its effects also, the lonely child mode, and we need to help her to understand step-by-step process together towards emotional openness and benefits of that. We need to build safetyness. And we need to connect to emotions and expressions of them with different ways. And happy emotions are also as vital. Inside client, there is really very lonely and easily misunderstood child mode who takes probably too much responsible of her emotions, behavings, everything. There hasn't been healthy situation to express them all. So the needs, what it may apply is to get supported, admired, appreciated, and so on. And that's how well-behaving children or teen usually gets that mode. So unrelenting standard schema starts to rise with emotional inhibition schema. Child starts to act the way that there is less negative reactions to him or her, and admiration to good behave and polite way at school, hobbies, with people, with parents. Yeah, it's increasing that. And the missing needs behind there may be all missing needs. Lack of safetyness, lack of attachment. But of course, there's need of appreciation, lack of autonomy, lack of emotional expression, lack of spontaneity and play. And there may be unhealthy limits, too much or too little. So needs behind are very important to understand what the detached protector mode is getting, wanting, achieving. So, we really need to help them to reconnect, even hurt, but also happiness and joy, like you see in the picture, and help them to be more spontaneous and playful, express more emotions, demand less, relax more, finding safe places or something. The need for psychotherapy or schema therapy is to help them to be connected to us. And we need to create happy child mode again and strengthen understanding and compassionate, wise and clever mode towards herself or himself. So we need to increase understanding and accepting of all emotions. So the respect of this maladaptive way to cope, like as a detached protector mode, has been very important and helpful when it has been starting to show up. So we can also understand that together in a good therapy alliance and good therapy relationship. And we need to respect that the goal is to help the child relax and feel more instead of controlling and avoiding or distancing one from another. But it may be scary. Feeling that he sees enough with all sees. And there comes the question, how do we help the parents towards nurturing interaction and help them to meet child's core emotional needs? And then that's what Arja will talk in a while. So when we think age-appropriate behaving, children are naturally more connected to emotions. They are more spontaneous, more open, and play is natural way to work with them. So it's a little bit easier. But in many teenage days, in front of others, important the way how they are looking and how they are behaving. They are avoiding the shame. So distancing from emotional hurt or emotional reactions is very common. That will lead anyway feeling more lonely. So again, the lonely child mode. I chose one case example here because that case also shows the work more specific way. So I had 14-year-old girl living with one sibling who has diagnosed HID, ADHD, and both parents were academic trained. So her sibling was not behaving so well. Avoidance and anxiety was physical and emotional. There was 25 sessions of therapy, including parental counseling, and therapy was online. So schemas, unrelenting standards, emotional inhibition, approval seeking, and a lot more, but the most important. She feels she needs to get good grades, she needs to fulfill expectations from others, parents, teachers, friends. And because of sudden trauma, she started to avoid going anywhere from home. She tried but couldn't manage. She freezed. Yeah. Her unrelenting standards and approval-seeking schemas put her to perfectionist over control mode. She tried to please others and tried to cope with perfectionist behaving. And distancing her from emotions, she was controlling everything. Yeah. And after trauma and fear of harm, it really was tricky. She thought that emotions are harmful and they should be really controlled, distanced. So the part of the problem was that parents were also having unrelenting standard schemas and very wanting to behave good and polite manner. So there was the lack of spontaneity and play and lack of emotional expression. So there was the need of build safe therapy relationship, releasing her from obsessive managing, releasing avoidance step by step with understanding it and homework practice. We need to build more flexible relationship towards herself. Finding positive attitudes towards her, and also we did write down good positive sentences, noticing good in the recovering process in everyday life, even there wasn't perfectionist achieving. We helped her to understand unrelenting standards, schema, and in a demanding mode, increasing spontaneity, searching how it can be visible and her thoughts about it, obstacles and benefits. We did experimental practice, like psychotherapy also is, in different way, talking more spontaneous, even connecting to one moment, using mindfulness and imagery techniques. We did behavioral change, building self-confidence, walking alone around home, step by step. She did homework after school, taking care of free time and relaxation moments, focusing on inner emotions, listening music, talking about good things, animals, and what makes her happy. She improved and has been able to talk more open, but of course, in a short therapy, there's always risk that all patterns are appreciated, if also from parents, because the small amount of parental work. Let's hope it will continue. So, just reminding many tools and creativity in schema therapy with children and adolescents while bypassing the avoidance. So limited parenting, being honest, not perfect, good therapy relationship, and trust. Empathy, confrontation, tricky cases in tricky situations, conceptualization, like I already told, cognitive strategies, understanding, and modes and difficulties of history of them, behavioral strategies, doing things step by step. So, and all experimental strategies, music, writing, talking, feeling, being, doing homeworks, finding happy child, increasing emotional openness and spontaneity. And we need her motivation to do all that. So now it's Arja's turn. I hope I didn't use too much time.
Thank you, Niina. It was nice. Yes. When a child or adolescent have avoiding behavior, very often the parent have avoiding mode too. And why might a parent avoid emotions with their child or adolescent in difficult situations? Parent may wish to shield their child from disappointments, challenges, or sadness. So parents' intention is there to protect. Parent may afraid that ask about child's emotions would worsen child's mood. Parent might lack the skills to manage with the child's emotions effectively, like comfort the child. And also, parent may struggle with recognizing and regulating their own emotions. And of course, parents' own schemas and modes are triggered in emotional situations with child. And why might parent avoid emotions in a parenting guidance sessions, own parent sessions? Parent may be unaware that they are avoiding, and this, of course, is very deeply rooted behavioral pattern. And of course, I think we all are familiar our avoiding part. We all maybe want to avoid some situations and difficult feelings first. Parent schemas and modes are triggered when a therapist is challenging them to meet child's needs better, or therapist is evoking parents' emotion purposely. And of course, shame and guilty feelings are very, very usual feelings with parents. And parent might not understand rightly the purpose of their own sessions or how to engage in discussions during them. You can change the next slide. And how you can see and feel and hear emotional avoidance with parents. And these all are examples of my own work with parents' live situations. It can be that parents don't tell voluntarily much about her behavioral reactions or emotions with the child. Parents don't talk about the difficult issues at home, and those issues what I may know from the child or from the adolescents in their therapy. And of course, I have to be wise when I have these confidential issues with the child or adolescents, how to take some issues to talk about with parents. In sessions, focus maybe is only at the child, his behavior, his strong anxiety feelings, and so. And of course, we want to give space to this too, but it's risk to stay only to this kind of focus. We must go in on parent side too. Or if you ask some emotional issues, parent will change the topic or ignore the theme, or parent seem not to have own hot points or goals. to deal at parent sessions, or parent don't do or don't remember their homeworks, for example, relating to exposure task to support child or adolescent with the exposure. Parent may seem like cool or distant, or parent may be also very nice, smiles and jokes in appropriate manner to protect herself. And I, as a therapist, might feel that the parent is not in emotional interaction with me, and I may feel that I'm doing all the work there, or having running soap with my hands. And what's the differences between avoidance mode and poor metacognitive capacities that I have recently think about? And what and how we can influence with a parent. It depends how much we have sessions with them. Is the therapy short, or is it long-lasting therapy? But the goal is always to support parent to meet the child's basic needs better, away from need frustration. But if parent strongly is denying obvious difficulties with child, or if she or he is expressing own thoughts and emotions very limitedly, or she or he seem not to be in emotional relation with her own child, maybe it's not avoiding mode. Maybe it's more about poor metacognitive capacities or poor reflective function. And of course, then we need more time with parent. Next. As a therapist, we always want good therapeutic relationship with our clients and with the parent. And of course, you may have a good collaborative relationship with the parent, but parent is still avoiding some issues. So it doesn't mean that you are doing not enough, or it's your fault, but it's important to remember that it's learned behavioral pattern of parent. But of course, as Niina said, limited reparenting, grandparenting, empathic confrontation and validation is very, very important in therapy. And with parents, you need gradually evoke emotions, make parent aware of his or her own emotional processes. Okay, what are goals in parental guide concerning child's basic needs? And somehow we have like two food in parental guidance. We have the goal that parent would support her or his child's basic needs. But of course, we also want to support parents' own needs to be met. We have about 20 schemas, and these all schemas are belonging to some domain. And if schemas are in disconnection and reaction domain, the goal in a parent session is, of course, support more secure attachment and connection. If the schemas are in impaired autonomy and performance, the goal is to support autonomy and confidence to oneself and to own performance. And if the schemas are more in the domain of impaired limits, the goal is support realistic limits and realistic performance and equal view of self. Not low, not high, but equal to each of others. And if the schemas are more in the area of other directedness, the goal in parental guide is support to recognize and express one's own needs, feelings, and opinions. And if the schemas are in domain of over-vigilance and inhibition, the goal in parent coach is to support play, spontaneity, and joy, and relax, and to have more mercy, self-compassion, and realistic expectations. Okay, here is some strategies with parent I usually have there and while bypassing the avoidance mode. Our aim always in schema therapy is to do mode work, and we keep psychoeducation of basic needs. And we may identify parents' own schemas and modes from their own family background and what are the need, frustration related to their same selves. And of course, we investigate mode clash between the child or adolescent and the mother or child and the father. And we investigate what needs should be met maybe more effectively. And then we identify parents' activated schemas and modes what are related to the child. And as a schema therapist, we always want to do emotional and experimental strategies. And in that way, our aim is to focus and meet the vulnerable child mode. And we can do imaginary scripting and share work and other kind of that emotional work. We may ask mother or father like, what would you have needed from your own mother in that situation when you were a child? And investigate maybe how that need frustration is related to situation with her own child. And limited reparenting, to support, to encourage parent in his or her process. And share work, I use that a lot. And I think we can use share work in many levels. We can use share work more like a cognitive level, make a parent more aware of his or her modes. But we also want to reinforce those parents' strengths and resources. And we can make different modes discussing with each other together, like caring and guidance mode, healthy adult mode, and the avoiding mode with shares. And next slide is example of that. Here at the left side, I have a share, which is symbolizing the caring and guidance mode or healthy adult mode. And we would investigate, for example, what would you need here to meet better your child's need? And what resources you already have, and what kind of things you need more. And on the right side, there is this red share symbolizing the avoiding mode. And when the avoiding mode is activating in the session, or we are hearing that the avoiding mode is in at home with the child or adolescents, we can put that mode in the share and investigate with parent how it works and for what parent is needing that avoiding mode. And the idea here is, of course, that the avoiding part is only part of parent behavior. It's not all about the parent. And then we can use shared dialogue. We can put parent to sit another chair and talk about that and met the emotions in that chair. And then we ask parent to sit in another chair and again want to meet those thoughts and emotions in that chair. And the third little chair is for vulnerable part mode. And of course, we always want to make contact to that mode and meet parents' own needs and to support parent to meet child's vulnerable part. Okay, and the next slide, the last one. Sometimes I feel that we have had a discussion what the parent sessions are for. There is some much or something doesn't work. And I have now started a kind of pilot, a questionnaire for parents at the start of therapy, where I ask parents resources and strengths, and also of parents' maladaptive behavior. And questionnaire is containing questions about positive schemas and nurturing interaction, so-called good enough parenting. And parent can describe how she or he is behaving in good nurturing interaction. But I have also there questions about the behavior related to negative schemas and maladaptive parental behavior. And so far I have a good experience of that. Parents give more specific information and also of their maladaptive reactions. And they can be more engagement in a parent work, and we can set the goals and focus to some themes in collaboration. Okay, and now we thank you about your interest. You have listened to our presentation, and if you have any questions, there is information from us in one slide there at the beginning. So please don't hesitate to ask if you have something in your mind. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.